This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, yes, forget the corporate bullshit because this is the Rated R Safety Show. And, you know, we do that freeform thing on a lovely Friday. Yeah, there is no doubt about that as we get to hang out and do all the fun stuff that we get to do. Anyway, today is Friday, June the 23rd. Such an important day. As of 68 years ago. June the 23rd of 2023, and it is day 174th of the year, and only 191 days left to go. No, seriously, not a joke as I say that. So there you go. So let's see. We are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM and hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that other place.
Radio Big. USA, Canada, UK.
Oh, yes, hanging out with the friends over there at RadioBig.fm as they get to do all the fun stuff that they get to do, so don't worry about that because we will hang and bang with them as much as we can in regards to what the hell's going on. So how have you been? It's been at least 23 hours, maybe, at least 23, maybe more. Who the hell knows? How's it been for you? Have you done anything cool, anything fantastic, anything you want to be braggalicious about? Well, if you want to do any of those things, all you have to do is go to callinradio.com. That's callinradio.com. They'll get everything moving and grooving for us in that particular regard. And as we get you set up into our system, as we get to hang out, do all the fun stuff. Because listen, who doesn't want to do fun stuff on a Friday? So Fridays are near and dear to my heart, and not for the reason that it is for most people. It's near and dear to my heart because here's what we do. We do freeform. So what does that mean? Well, it means that today we do a little bit more jibber jabber and not talk about anything in particular. We just kind of cover a whole gamut of stuff. Normally the stuff that we didn't catch up with earlier in the week, just to be able to go through the whole cluster of it all. So there you go. Some stuff to talk about. So with that being said, let's talk about this. If you want to do this, if you want to take a look at us on the social media realms or on the video side, you can go to, well, what is it you go to? You go to Safety FM, you go to Radio Big, and you click on the section that says Visual Radio. We'll hang out also on the different social media platforms, but we're terrible on checking it in real time. Yeah, let's just be realistic because that's exactly what goes on. So if we don't reply back immediately, don't take it that we slid you. Because some people will take that on the slide down, so you know what I'm saying there. So with that being said, let's get into it, because we're going to need to start talking right away about what the hell was trending.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
So talking about the trends of the ends of everything that was going on is going to go something like this. The Coast Guard has found the wreckage of the Ocean Gate submissile. Yeah, because they're not calling it a submarine anymore. They're calling it a submissile. And Bed Bath & Beyond will sort of live on after bankruptcy. We'll talk about that. Kevin Costner's divorce gets uglier and big plans in the works for SNL's 50th anniversary next summer. We'll talk about that in just one bit. And then, of course, for some reason, as we're talking about this thing, or as we'll talk about Ocean Gate at one point, I was amazed to see the amount of people that were shitting on this yesterday of everything that was going on in regard to that. And listen, I will tell you, there was experts that were out there. There was Hollywood directors talking about this yesterday, a little bit of everything. So that's where it started to get a little bit strange inside of my multiverse of things that we talk about, but we can get a little bit into everything. I almost was going to bring the ABC clip over of James Cameron talking about what the hell was going on. It was about 10 minutes long that I was taking a look at it, and I was like, I think it would be a good play, but then I thought it was kind of long in regards to that, as we could go back and forth, but we still have some moments of time to think about this. Shit, we're only 6 minutes in. So we'll definitely have some time to give some consideration to some of the stuff that we want to talk about. But anyways, with that being said, we have some professional broadcasters that are hanging out here that are waiting to talk to let you know what the hell's going on. So why don't we do this? Why don't we sit back, relax, and talk about what the hell's going on this Freeform Friday? Because I think, therefore I am, no, that's something else, for us to discuss what the hell's going on. So let's go from here.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Mark Mayfield. Questions are being raised with the death of the 5 people aboard the submersible viewing the Titanic. Discovery Channel Expedition Unknown host Josh Gates took a dive in the Titan vessel not too long ago and said he refused a second trip because of safety concerns.
I felt that it needed more time to be tested. I think there are still big questions that need to be answered here about really the thoroughness of actual deep water testing of Titan before its missions.
There's an investigation underway to determine what exactly happened. Parts of Colorado are feeling the effects of a storm that included reports of a tornado and baseball-sized hail. The National Weather Service labeled Thursday's weather in the Denver metro area as a particularly dangerous situation. That resulted in some storm-related damage, downed trees, and thousands of customers without power. Air travel was also impacted as more than 140 flights at Denver International Airport were canceled. The armorer from the set of Rust is facing new charges related to the accidental death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins. Brian Shook reports.
Hannah Gutierrez-Reed is now being charged with tampering with evidence after prosecutors claim she transferred narcotics to someone the day of Hutchins' death in 2021. Last week, the prosecution also said Gutierrez-Reed was likely hungover when she was working that day, claiming she drank and used marijuana after working on set. I'm Brian Shook.
And Interstate 95 in Philadelphia will reopen on Friday. Pennsylvania's Department of Transportation says 6 temporary lanes will be open to traffic starting Friday at noon local time. The highway has been closed for nearly 2 weeks after a fiery tanker crash caused a collapse of the roadway. The closure has had an impact on both local traffic and on nationwide shipping. Governor Josh Shapiro has praised construction crews working around the clock to fix the highway. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
President Biden welcomed Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India to the White House for an official state visit.
India and the United States are working closely on everything from ending poverty and expanding access to health care to addressing climate change to tackling food and energy insecurity.
While speaking from the South Lawn yesterday, Biden said the challenges of the 21st century will require India and the U.S. to work and lead together. The leaders are expected to enter new partnerships on defense and technology. The trip marks the 3rd official state visit of Biden's presidency. The Biden administration is looking to bolster ties between the U.S. and India to help counter growing aggression from China and Russia. A year after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, 6 in 10 voters think ending federal protection for abortion was the wrong move. A new NBC News poll found that 80% of women between 18 and 49 disapprove. That includes 60% of independents and a third of Republicans. More than half of men surveyed also disagree with the court's decision, which effectively handed abortion rights to the states. House Republicans have put off an effort to impeach President Biden, led by Colorado Congresswoman Lauren Boebert. Lisa Taylor explains.
The conservative congresswoman introduced a measure to force the vote on her impeachment article earlier this week, despite Republican Speaker Kevin McCarthy's opposition to it. The articles accused Biden of carrying out an invasion at the southern border. The vote to punt the resolution came out to 219-208 along party lines, with Republicans caught by surprise, calling it premature. I'm Lisa Taylor.
And the worst-kept secret became a reality during the NBA draft in Brooklyn. France's Victor Wembanyama was selected by the San Antonio Spurs with the first overall pick. Brandon Miller out of Alabama went second to the Charlotte Hornets, while Scoot Henderson out of the G League Ignite went third to the Portland Trail Blazers. The Houston Rockets selected Amen Thompson from Overtime Elite with the fourth pick, while the Detroit Pistons drafted his twin brother with the fifth overall selection. They are the first brothers to be selected in the top 5. Mark Mayfield, NBC News Radio.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
It's always amazing to me on how technology changes, and so does the environment that we're in. And cyber criminals will do everything they can to take advantage of a system. If you don't own a home, you have nothing to fear about what I'm about to tell you. But if you own a home like me and you don't guard it with home title lock, you're inviting home title fraud. One of the fastest growing crimes. Cyber thieves around the world know our home values are sky high at the moment, and that makes us a target. The crime is scary simple. Let me explain it to you real quick. A cyber thief simply forges your name on a property sale form and refiles it. That's it. Now he or she is on the deed of your home and you have no idea that you're a victim. Then the person takes out a loan on your home and vanishes, leaving you to prove to the police that you didn't commit bank fraud. Home Title Locks puts a virtual barrier around your home title. The instant they detect any kind of tampering or anybody messing around, they help shut it down. Look, if you have equity in your home, you need to guard it the best way that you can. Some people might even go as far as guarding it with their life. Go to HometitleLock.com and register your address to see if you already are a victim. And enter the code RADIO. That's RADIO. That's the code RADIO for 30 days free of protection. That's code RADIO at HometitleLock.com.
What is dedication?
I am the father of a 9-year-old little girl and a 6-year-old little boy, and I find fatherhood both relentlessly challenging and relentlessly rewarding. My daughter is biological and my son is adopted. I love them both so much, from the morning when you wake up to putting them to bed at night, and every moment in between. It really is so special, and boy, is it exhausting. One thing that I fear about being a parent is the future for my children. I think a parent's job is to protect our children, but also prepare them for the world so they become good, kind human beings. But I'm also hopeful that the future holds a more inclusive and compassionate world for them.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
If you're worried your friend may be struggling, remember, you don't have to be there to be there.
You can say, how are you, or get a fake tattoo. You can ask with an app if it works for you. You could chat on the game, kick off your flip-flops. You can ask on your couch while you binge watch.
Whatever gets you talking. Reach out to a friend about their mental health. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and the JED Foundation.
Hey, are you tired of hanging around and talking about safety in a boring kind of format? Well, I got something for you. If you haven't hung out with us yet at safetyfm.com, I'm going to encourage you to do so. Yeah, if you come out to Safety FM, you can come hang out with all kinds of safety professionals. Some are safety professionals, some are just people that are talking about safety. But we want to do it in a format that makes it fun and entertaining. If you're kind of trying to figure out what the FM portion is, well, we're a radio station and also a podcast network. You can come out, hang out, and listen to my show, The Jay Allen Show. You can listen to Todd Conklin with the pre-accident investigation, Blaine J. Hoffman with the Safety Pro, the Hop Nerd, Sam Goodman, just to name a few on what can be found on the station. Different things for different people, trying to bring safety in an entertaining form. SafetyFM.com. Go to the website, download the app, and carry it with you all day long. SafetyFM.com. We'll be waiting for you.
Listen to our host of the Rated R Safety Show self-implode on our airwaves, only on Safety FM.
If I self-imploded on the airwaves, it would be kind of interesting. I would probably make the news all around the world, from London to the Bay. Oh, no, that's a song. That's a song. Sorry about that. I get confused sometimes on what's real life and what's music because it seems to be a nice little mixture of everything. At least that's the way the cookie crumbles as we are talking. Anyways, with that being said, let's get into some of the stuff that it is going on. It is 16 minutes past the top of the hour, because why wouldn't we get into everything that is going on inside of the world? So let's get into it. So remember, Freeform Friday, keep that in mind as we are going into this. So after an anxious week of uncertainty, the U.S. Coast Guard announced on Thursday that the missing Ocean Gate submersible experienced a catastrophic implosion on the descent to explore the wreckage of the Titanic, and that the 5 passengers aboard were killed. The sub began its journey on Sunday, but eventually lost communication with the surface, triggering an expansive search for the and rescue effort. It's likely that the passengers were killed almost immediately as the result of whatever malfunction on board of the craft. The search for any remains are still underway, so just keep that in mind as we are talking. Listen, post-event, it's easy to sit here and bitch and complain and say all this kind of stuff of, well, shoulda, coulda, woulda, and all that kind of fun stuff. But listen to some of the stuff that was taking place as we discussed yesterday during the story of the Maine. Some people call it the Maine story. I'll just call it story of the Maine because I don't have a Maine. But just keep that in mind in regards of, safety. Safety is, a falsity based on what the guy was saying. So I don't know. It's going to make it interesting, just seeing some of the post-event stuff that's going to come about from this. Take a listen to this. Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, who head rival social media companies Twitter and Meta, which owns Facebook, respectively, appear poised to throw down in a cage match if their social media taunts are to be believed. In response to the report that Meta is readying a new platform to directly take on Twitter, one Twitter user commented, "Better be careful there, Elon Musk. I heard that Zuckerberg does the jiu-jitsu now." Musk replied, "I'm up for a cafe match, and if he is, LOL." Zuck then grabbed the exchange and posted on Instagram story, "Send me the location." And then another reporter tweeted that linked Zuck's reply to Musk, commented, "Vegas Octagon," then quipped, "I have a great move that I can call the Warriors, where I can lie on top of my opponent and do absolutely nothing." To be determined if anything comes out of this internet or if it just moves on. It'll be interesting to see. Now, I don't know if you know this, but Zuck is training in jiu-jitsu, and not saying because he's friends with Dana White that has a factor into it, but it does look like he does follow the MMA, as some people would call it, the MMA instead of just MMA, for some period of time. So who the hell knows? It'd be interesting to see. And what would be the weight difference? Because, these things normally have a weight category. So I'm just saying, just asking the question, not trying to be the traditional dick.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so after sparking controversy and outrage over the decision to disqualify the marlin that was caught in the fishing tournament last week that would be awarded the winners a $3.5 million purse. The organizations are doubling down to the decision. In the video statement, the president of the tournament said that the rule that there is to protect the fish so nobody gets an advantage. When you fight and land this fish, you have fought 100% of the fish. Later, he compared the rule by hitting a ball out of bounds in golf, that you can't just pick up the ball and put it, in bounds and continue to play. I mean, this is kind of a weird thing, and I'm just saying this. How in the hell? Listen, I don't give two shits about fishing or golf or baseball, whatever. I mean, take it for what it is. But how would the guy know that the fish was in a fight prior to? I mean, what kind of horseshit is this? I mean, oh yeah, it's a competition, but we have to verify that the fish didn't have a fight before it actually got involved with you trying to fish the fish. I mean, it gets weird quick. Anyways, California Rep. Adam Schiff became the 25th member of the House of Representatives to be ever censured on Wednesday, and is the first time since 2010. The resolution accused Schiff of falsehood, misrepresentations, and abuses of sensitive information connected to his management investigation of former President Donald Trump. The resolution barely passed the party lines, 213 to 209. 6 members voted present via roll call. So there you go. There you go. There you go. What do you think? What do you think? It'll be interesting to see what happens with Mr. Schiff going forward. There is no doubt about it. Home goods retailer Bed Bath & Beyond will live on amid bankruptcy, sort of. The name and intellectual property and digital assets are expected to be sold to Overstock.com for $21.5 million. The deal is close. Any remaining stores still operating. The store has been looking for solutions since filing for bankruptcy back in April. Meanwhile, if Overstock's acquisition falls through, a software company is ready to spend big to acquire Beyond.com domain, and the retailer also owns. And Bye Bye Baby brand is being sold off separately. This is all according to CNN Business. So now you know, and now I know. So now we know together. That's the information. You know what else I would like to know together? What the hell John Small has going on? So let him tell us about the market beat.
Here's a Market Beat Minute for Friday, June 23rd, brought to you by GenesisGoldIRA.com. The equity market rebounded Thursday, breaking a 3-day losing streak. The rebound shows support at a 2-week low and may lead to another rally, given the right news. The risk is that the summer rally is already peaking due to the renewed fear of FOMC rate hikes. The FOMC has come out with strong rhetoric that inflation is not tamed. More work needs to be done, and 2 or more rate hikes could be on the way. Next week will be another trying week for the market. The May read of the PCE price index is due out Friday, and could be another hot one. If so, the market may be unable to shrug it off as it has in the past. The market, the economy, the Fed, and inflation are headed toward a reckoning that may only produce losers. Odds of a recession stand at 65%. You can get the inside track from Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at MarketBeatMinute.com.
Okay, thank you, John Smalls, for the information. Let me tell you a little bit of what I was able to locate. The Dow lost about 4 points to close at 33,946. The S&P added about 16 points to close at 4,381, and the NASDAQ added about 128 points to close at 13,630. West Texas Intermediate, West Texas Intermediate closed at $69 a barrel, and Brent crude was at $74 a barrel. The national average price of a gallon of gas was at $3.58 on Thursday. Bitcoin remained over $30,000 on Thursday, just so you know, and there was more than 5,470 flights delayed within, into, and out of the United States on Thursday, with more than 430 cancellations. Tonight's Mega Million jackpot will be for $320 million or $167.7 million cash payout. Saturday night's Powerball will be for $427 million or a $221.1 million cash payout. So if you want to play the game, you got the opportunity to do so. Now, remember, Freeform Friday, we talk a little bit about everything, so keep that in mind as I'm about to say the next thing. Gwyneth Paltrow's Group brand is planning to roll out a new line of chocolate candies called This Tastes Like My Vagina. Yep, that's what it says. The Sun reports that the lawyers have filed a trademark for the name, which is under government review. The brand in the future could cover other types of candies. So there you go. Yep, that's a product that is going to be sold that people can buy. Not a joke. I know, sounds kind of weird as I'm saying that, but there you go. Anyways, let's listen to this real quick. Do you have any lucky number? Bree Tennis says that it's probably due to this.
Analytics Insights has a lucky numbers associated with good times and maybe fortune, but there's no scientific real-world proof that there's any one number luckier than another. Although lottery officials say the number 24 is a lucky number because it comes up a lot with Powerball, and the Nevada Gaming Commission says 7's the most common number for a roulette win. 8's lucky in Chinese culture, but 4 is not. 13 isn't either. Turns out the number most people pick as a lucky number is 7. I'm Bree Tennis, NBC News Radio.
Yes, because 7 is my name. 7 come and 7 go. And that's 7. So there you go. Anyways, take a listen to this. The widow of Haiti's slain president is taking her battle to court. Take a listen to this.
Attorneys for the widow of Haitian President Jovenel Moïse have filed a lawsuit in Florida against those accused of his assassination. More than 40 people have been arrested so far in connection. The lawsuit comes nearly 2 years after the July 7th, 2021 assassination of Moïse, who was shot a dozen times at his private home in an attack that also seriously injured his wife, Martine. The suit seeks unspecified damages and a trial by jury for all involved. Natalie Rodriguez, Miami.
Thank you, Natalie, for that information right there. It'll be interesting to see what the outcome is from the court case, because that always makes it kind of an interesting time in regards on how they go about it, because she's filing a civil lawsuit. So keep that in mind as we are talking. Anyways, residents are concerned that the 3-mile stretch on Mulholland Drive in Hollywood Hills is a disaster waiting to happen on the 4th of July. Take a listen to this.
Mulholland is the lifeblood of this community, and if it's blocked, that means we're trapped.
In recent years, thousands of people have flocked to the area to get a view of the fireworks in the city below, with some setting off fireworks themselves. This has led to the bumper-to-bumper traffic on the narrow 2-lane highway, with hundreds of other cars parked on the side of the road. Residents say that if there was a fire, emergency vehicles wouldn't be able to get in if they weren't able to safely evacuate. This homeowner says that the fire in Hollywood Hills on the 4th of July could be catastrophic.
I think if we had a fire, it would be mass panic. I don't think people could get out. Somehow they need to shut the traffic down. I mean, it's a huge fire hazard up here.
So let me ask the question, what kind of questionnaire would actually end up taking place? So you're driving down this highway and they're going to say, what is your business here? And you're going to say, what? No, seriously, you're going to say, what? What is it that you're going to say that people are going to be like, oh yeah, you can do that over here. Or, oh no, you can't do that over here. I'm just trying to figure it out. I understand the concern, but how does that work? I need a plan of action. I need more plans. I need a better understanding to be able to get everything to move. I'm just saying. Anyways, take a listen to this. Metro is lending a helping hand to low-income riders. Sarah Bartlett has the details.
People who qualify for SNAP benefits in Virginia, Maryland, and D.C. can enroll in the Fare Assistance Program. It'll cut prices in half on trains and buses for 1 full year. Online enrollment is underway, and in-person enrollment will start Monday at 2 D.C. stations and 1 Maryland station. It's all part of the new Metro Lift program, making the discount available within 48 hours of signing up. More information is available at WMATA.com. I'm Sarah Bartlett.
Okay, thank you, Sarah, for that information. Hey, listen, anytime that you can get a discount on something, if you're able to qualify for the discount, why not try to apply for it if you qualify? I mean, let's not lie about it. So take a listen to this. That 3-day Beach It, yes, that Beach It is what I said. Festival begins today in Virginia Beach. Let's bring Sarah back in.
This is the first year for the Country Music Festival along the ocean front, and organizers say they want everyone to have a great and safe time. So there are some do's and don'ts. 1, leave the selfie sticks at home. They aren't allowed. Also on that list are blankets, umbrellas, hard coolers, squirt guns, and tablets. Chairs and inflatable couches are allowed. The 3-day lineup includes Miranda Lambert, Thomas Rhett, Luke Bryan, Riley Green, and many more. I'm Sarah Bartlett.
Okay, thank you, Sarah, for the information. Let's go into this real quick. There are new details about a deadly northern Iowa shooting earlier this week. Sue Danielson is in the wings.
State investigators say 30-year-old Matt Davis was armed and arguing with his family, who locked themselves inside their house in Sheffield and called 911. Franklin County deputies ordered Davis to drop his gun, but he refused and started walking toward them. Investigators say Davis pointed the gun at passing vehicles and then at deputies, prompting deputies to shoot, hitting Davis once. He died at the scene. Turns out his gun was a black pellet gun. I'm Sue Danielson.
I mean, here's where it gets weird to me, and I'm going to say this. If somebody's coming to you and you're a police officer and they have a gun drawn and they're acting like they're going to shoot it, there's no way that you're going to be able to tell from a distance if it's actually a pellet gun or any other kind of gun. You just know that it's a gun. I mean, isn't that really kind of how it goes? I'm just saying, just asking the question. Take a listen to this. 2 Eastern Iowa men are continuing their journey around the world in a single-engine airplane. Rotarians Peter Tahan and John Uckles are on a flight to end polio, and they've been in India for the past week. Their next stop is Sri Lanka.
We'll continue our trip going to Thailand and then down to Kuala Lumpur and Bali. We're going to make 3 stops in Australia, and then we're going to go up the Pacific Island chains all the way to Hawaii.
Okay, so that's John. They took the tour took them to Pakistan, one of the 2 countries that still has polio cases. Their mission is to keep encouraging vaccination so it's completely wiped out. John also says that he had planned ahead to have aviation fuel shipped to him ahead of time.
Well, the biggest challenge we face on this trip is finding aviation gasoline. Most of the countries around this part of the world have switched over. They're using turbine engines and jet fuel.
So there you go. That makes it an interesting time, no doubt about that. The owner of the collapsed Davenport building in the city of Davenport are facing another lawsuit. Take a listen.
The family of Brandon Colvin, who was killed in the partial collapse of the Davenport apartment building last month, accuses building owner Andrew Wold and the city of Davenport of negligence, ignoring warnings about the building's instability. It's the 6th lawsuit from victims, but the first from the families of one of the 3 men who died in the collapse. I'm Keegan Turnbow.
Okay, thank you for the information right there. Take a listen to this one coming out of Michigan. Outgoing Warren Mayor Jim Fouts attacks the city council for much of his final State of the City address last night. Fouts began with what the next mayor needs to focus on, calling the road construction in coordination with the state's officials a high priority.
Now, I'd like to go to a group of people that I feel obligated to devote some time to, and they like attention anyways. And I want to talk about the dysfunctional, accidental city council.
Warren Mayor Jim Fouts spent most of the State of the City address on the offensive.
This is the most hostile council in the history of Warren. That's why we call it the Council from Hell.
So there you go. Some interesting stuff going on right there as we are talking. Former President Obama says that former President Trump's federal indictment is less than ideal, but it is proof that nobody's above the law, Mark Mayfield explains.
Speaking on CNN, Obama said the indictment isn't the best message to send to world leaders because it suggests that the U.S. is easing up on democratic rules. He said it's at least positive that the allegations will be dealt with through a court process. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Okay, thank you, Mark Mayfield, for the information on what the hell's going on. Anyways, 32 minutes past top of the hour. I think it is time to do that thing that we normally do, but not in the variation that you're expecting. I can tell you that. Because guess what? It's Freeform Friday, so let's freeform it up.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
From Future Story News in Tokyo, I'm Chris Gilbert. OceanGate, the operator of the Titan exploration submarine, says there are no survivors after the vessel imploded during a voyage to the wreck of the Titanic on Sunday. The U.S. Coast Guard says search teams have found debris of the submarine scattered across the ocean floor. Carolyn Malone has more from Washington, D.C.
Pieces of the Titan submersible were found 1,600 feet from the bow of the wreck of the Titanic, with the size of the debris field indicating it had exploded. OceanGate Expeditions said in a statement on Thursday that we now believe that our CEO Stockton Rush, Shahzada Dawood, his son Suleiman Dawood, Hamish Harding and Paul-Henri Nargelet have sadly been lost. The vessel they were on went missing less than 2 hours into its trip to see the Titanic on Sunday morning. Reports suggest industry leaders had warned the tour company a few years ago that the Titan was not up to industry safety standards.
Meta says it will block news content in Canada over a new law requiring online platforms to pay publishers. Canadian officials have accused the tech giant, as well as Google, of using bullying tactics. Ira Spitzer reports from San Francisco.
In a statement, Meta said that news availability for all users of Facebook and Instagram in Canada will be ended prior to the Online News Act taking effect. The act, passed by Canada's Parliament on Thursday, is designed to force platforms like Facebook and Google to negotiate deals with publishers and pay them for their content. Both Meta and Google have called the legislation flawed, but Canadian officials say that news outlets deserve a cut of the platform's advertising revenue. The situation is similar to a standoff in Australia last year, which was ultimately resolved when the legislation was modified.
And in the market, stocks in Asia dipped on opening Friday amid elevated bond yields following a spate of central bank rate hikes in Europe. It follows a rebound in the US markets on Thursday after days of losses on Wall Street. William Denslow has more from New York.
Comments from Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell sat uneasily on Wall Street Wednesday when he told a House committee it would be a good guess to say the central bank will raise interest rates another 2 times this year. Powell was back answering questions from lawmakers Thursday, this time speaking to the Senate banking panel. He said again it was likely there'd be a couple rate hikes this year as the Fed aims to lower inflation, but the markets weren't put off by those remarks. The Dow closed essentially flat, but the S&P and Nasdaq kicked 3-day cold streaks to end up 0.4% and 1% respectively. It was, though, a tough day of trading for Boeing, closing down 3% on fears over how a strike among Spirit's workers could impact the sector.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. Today, the man who could have been on the fateful deep-sea submersible journey to the Titanic, but pulled out. Chris Brown paid more than $130,000 to join his friend, British explorer Hamish Harding, on the journey to the Titanic wreck aboard OceanGate Expedition's Titan submersible. But he withdrew from the voyage over safety concerns. He says that he has thought in recent days that thanks to his decision to withdraw, he may have narrowly escaped with his life.
Yes, that has occurred to me. I pulled out fairly early on. You go into these things knowing the risks. You assess the risks. You find ways to mitigate those that you can. That might be by using different equipment. It might be by bringing in other experts. It might be by something simple, by shifting the date that you try your expedition. But you try and bring those risks down as much as possible, but you always know there's a risk there.
He backed out of the trip a year and a half ago. He met explorer Hamish Harding back in 2016 when the two men were on an expedition to the South Pole along with astronaut Buzz Aldrin. The Titan submersible was reported missing on Monday, more than an hour into its journey to the Titanic wreck. The incident is sparking calls for reviews of privately owned deep-sea submersibles that are allowed to operate unregulated as they cater to a growing interest in exploration by deep-sea tourists. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main headlines again. OceanGate, the operator of the Titan exploration submarine, says there are no survivors after the vessel imploded during a voyage to the wreck of the Titanic. Tech giant Meta says it's going to block news content in Canada over a new law requiring online platforms to pay publishers. Stocks in Asia dipped on opening Friday amid elevated bond yields following a spate of central bank rate hikes in Europe. And that's the latest feature story news. Chris Gilbert reporting.
Warning. Listening to other radio stations could cause testicle shrinkage.
I'm talking truth. Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobilemobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
Hello. And we're live here outside the Perez family home, just waiting for the... And there they go. Almost on time this morning. Mom is coming out the front door strong with a double-arm kid carry. Looks like Dad has the bags. Daughter is bringing up the rear. Oh, but the diaper bag wasn't closed. Diapers and toys are everywhere. Ooh, but Mom has just nailed the perfect car seat buckle for the toddler. And now the eldest daughter, who looks to be about 9 or 10, has secured herself in the booster seat. Dad zips the bag closed, and they're off. But looks like Mom doesn't realize her coffee cup is still on the roof of the car. And there it goes. Oh, that's a shame. That mug was a fam favorite.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Just nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Learn more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Visit nhtsa.gov/the
right seat. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Look through your children's eyes to see the true magic of a forest. It's a storybook world for them. You look and see a tree. They see the wrinkled face of a wizard with arms outstretched to the sky. They see treasure in pebbles. They see a windy path that could lead to adventure. And they see you, their fearless guide through this fascinating world.
Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
So do you feel like you're missing out on what everyone is starting to do now, that live streaming thing, and you don't know where to start or what to do? I have the resource and the information to provide to you in regards on how you can stream onto 40 social media platforms all at one time. Yes, that's 40 social media platforms all at one time. All you'll need to do is go to safetyfm.com/one. That's safetyfm.com/one. That's ONE. So just in case, and you'll be able to start live streaming just like you're hearing people starting to do right now, up to 40 social media platforms.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Okay, there you go. 42 minutes past the top of the hour. This right here is the Rated R Safety Show, hour number 1 of the Jay Allen of the Morning Show. This, what you're listening to, is No Room by Keston Wright. You can give it a little streamer-eamer action. All you have to do is go to YouTube Music, Spotify, Apple Music. We would like to thank Keston Wright, I can't even talk, Keston Wright, for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show. So let's get back into it. Let's get back into the move and the groove of things, because, you know, we need to do that. It is Friday, Freeform Friday, I may add, in regards of everything that is going on. So let's skedaddle and talk about some things that are going on inside of the multiverse
right now. So let's talk about the most important thing that I am ever going to tell you in my lifetime, and that's about my friends at To Write Love on Your Arms. So there you go. To Write Love on Her Arms. You can go to their website, twloha.com, and go to their website and go to the section that says Find Help. To Write Love on Your Arms, or I can't even speak. To Write Love on Her Arms wants you to know that no matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help. We want you to know that people have been where you are now and things can get better. Listen, life is not easy. I understand it. People go through struggles. Sometimes people don't want to talk about this. If you're looking for resources on where you can find help, this is the place to go. twloha.com. Click on the section that says Find Help. So there you go. Let's continue talking a little bit about some of the things that are going on. So it is Friday, which normally means that it is opening day at the movie theater. So let's talk about some movies that are being released today. No Hard Feelings, a rated R comedy. Financially strapped Maddie discovers an intriguing job listing. Wealthy helicopter parents looking for someone to date their introverted 19-year-old son, Percy, before he leaves for college. Maddie soon discovers the awkward Percy is a sure thing. Jennifer Lawrence, Jennifer Lawrence, Andrew Barth Feldman, and Matthew Broderick. And it's out. It's out today. I would definitely think that it might be worth looking at because, hey, a rated R comedy. When was the last time you saw one of those? Asteroid City is another movie that's coming out today. It's a fictional American town of Circa in 1955. The itinerary of Junior Strager, a space cadet convention that's spectacularly disrupted by the world-changing events. So that's available today. And God is a Bullet. When a detective, Bob Hightower, finds his ex-wife murdered and a daughter kidnapped by a cult, he's frustrated by the bumbling officials' investigation. So he quits the police force, gets tattoos, and infiltrates the cult to hunt down the charismatic leader. This is a movie with Jamie Foxx in it, so that comes out today. So there you go. God is a Bullet. I'm just telling you what's out there. So there you go. Anyways, let's talk about some dilemmas. Yes, it's commonly asked question, but now we have the answer straight from the source. How often should you wash your jeans? Not very, says Levi designer Paul O'Neill. He has personally shared that that he washes his every 30 to 50 wears. O'Neill told the Australian Financial Review that he recommends washing jeans alone on a gentle cycle with cold water so that the color doesn't fade, and hanging them outside to dry, never in the dryer. And remember, he says that the more you wash the denim, the lighter it will become. He did point out, however, that it is often that jeans should be washed is up to a personal preference and that there's no official rule. Rather than washing them, some people have other freshening ways to do things to their jeans, such as putting them in the freezer, spraying them with vinegar, or hanging them in a UV wash to kill the bacteria. Yeah, they found that never worked for me. You know what it meant to be if you saw a bottle of ketchup, because, that would be all over the jeans. And never in my life would I be able to wear a pair of jeans 30 to 50 times before something growing out of it. I mean, I'm just saying in general there. But think about that for a moment. I had heard this a while ago. Matter of fact, it was on a show with Jeff Goldblum on Disney Plus, where I had heard this, where you're not supposed to really wash the jeans that often. And I was kind of in shock about the whole thing, but hey, that's just kind of the way that it goes. We talked about this earlier this week, but I want to talk about this a little bit more. The owner of an auto repair shop, who formerly paid their employees with 91,500 oil pennies, has been ordered to pay nearly $4 million more cents. A judge ruled that Miles Walker, who owns a AOK Walker Auto Works in Peachtree City, Georgia, owes $39,934 to 9 workers for unpaid overtime and damages. Walker agreed to pay the settlement as a lawsuit that he accused him of retaliating against former employees. Andreas Flatten back in 2021 after Flatten filed a complaint saying that Walker owed him the final $915 paycheck. The employer dumped the amount of oil-covered pennies in Flatten's driveways. The mountain of copper came with a pay stub that signed with expletives on it. The Labor Department said that further investigation found that Walker's business also violated overtime laws for 9 workers, but we understand that he has promised to change. So you know that's a sure thing. A sure thing. An inmate in Bangladesh has had his murder sentence reduced by 4 years as a thank you for killing 26 people during his time in prison. In 1991, Shahalahan Bolgad was sentenced to 42 years for murder, but he served 4 years and 4 months by carrying the execution of 26 fellow inmates in jail. Coupled with good behavior, the 74-year-old shortened his sentence by almost a decade. He also became the hangman for Dracula's Central Prison in 2001 after informing officials that he knew how to handle a rope. Bangladesh is one of the few countries that carries out the death sentences by hanging, so his kills were highly valued, only valuable inside of a prison, of course. Remember that, because if he was doing that on the street, you know that things would get very, very weird very quickly. There is no doubt about that. So let's continue talking about some other things. I have one here that's titled something very interesting. Musk Zuckerberg are dead serious about fighting each other in a UFC octagon. I have to repeat this story because this is too good.
UFC President Dana White said on TMZ Live that the CEOs talked with him earlier this week about what he says would be the biggest fight in history. Musk reportedly responded to news that Zuckerberg planned to start his own version of Twitter by saying he's up for a cage match if he is. I'm Brian Shook.
Now, my question becomes this. Would you watch it? And would you pay for it if you had to watch it? I mean, I'm just asking. I want to have a better understanding. Take a listen to this. Questions are being raised of the death of the 5 people aboard the submersible viewing of the Titanic. Discovery Channel Expedition Unknown host Josh Gates took a dive into the Titan vessel not too long ago and said that he refused a second trip because of safety concerns.
I felt that it needed more time to be tested. I think there are still big questions that need to be answered here about really the thoroughness of actual deep water testing of Titan before its missions.
Expedition Unknown host Josh Gates says that Ocean Gate CEO Stockton Rush made some questionable decisions.
It's also possible to have real questions about his own calculations of risk and the way in which he calculated risk for people that he was taking down in this sub.
Yeah, calculation of risk is always an interesting one to talk about. Anyways, take a listen to this. New York Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers says that positive experience with psychedelic substances have helped him become a better person.
When you find that edge and surpass it and create a new edge, you're creating in the in-between a beautiful new piece of life and energy and love and divine guidance that comes in. It really changes your life.
Rodgers spoke for about an hour on Wednesday as part of a psychedelic scientist convention taking place in Denver this week. The NFL star says that he feels compelled to keep talking about psychedelics, saying that they have helped him overcome self-doubt, brought him on to his next need to excel. Voters in Colorado decided in November to decriminalize the possession of substances like psychedelic mushrooms and create healing centers that can administer them in a supervised setting. Just sharing the information with you. Don't kill the messenger. Take a listen to this one. Kesha and her former producer, Dr. Luke, has settled a defamation lawsuit out of court. The pop singer filed a lawsuit against the producer for sexual assault and emotional abuse back in 2014. Dr. Luke has countersued and claimed defamation. As part of the agreement, the pair issued a joint statement on social media. Dr. Luke wishes the singer well, and she wishes nothing but peace for all parties involved. So there you go. Some settlements going on right there. Anyways, with that being said, let's do this. Let's go ahead and do the Motivation Minute, because I think it's time to do that.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by Kyle. George Bernard Shaw said, "We learn from experience that we never learn anything from experience." I love this. Sounds a little wishy-washy, but it is very true. We're all pretty certain that over time, we'll probably make the same mistakes over and over. Wouldn't it be great if we could just learn from our past mistakes and move on to make better mistakes next time? I've done it myself. I found myself in a situation where I should have known better, but I followed my very own path back to the same dismal ending again. Now, I do encourage you to think it through a little more to hopefully avoid making the same mistakes over and over. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Hello, I'm Richard Exley with your 1-minute devotion. Spiritual leaders have several traits in common. They have a healthy self-image, and their leadership flows out of who they are in Christ. Their leadership is motivated by love. They have a genuine concern for others. They have a servant's heart. They put the needs of the organization or church above their own. If you desire to be a spiritual leader, ask the Lord to develop these traits in your life. Consider the example of Jesus. He got up from the table, took off his robe, wrapped a towel around his waist, and poured water into a basin. Then he began to wash the disciples' feet. That's John 13. Lord Jesus, only you can make us true spiritual leaders. Equip us, I pray. Amen. If these devotions are a blessing and an encouragement to you, you can subscribe at oneminutedevotion.com.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by alessamorgan.com. When it comes to holidays, a lot of us are enjoying delicious meals and being exposed to sugary foods on a more frequent basis. And that is a wonderful thing to experience and part of the holiday season. However, if you are looking for tips on how to mitigate additional pounds during the holiday time, there is something to consider. And that is how to reframe the way you feel about hunger and train yourself to be okay with it. Not starvation, but hunger. When you get hungry, the hormone ghrelin triggers fat loss and activates adaptation of how your muscles use fuel. Generally, staying away from food and snacking for at least 3 hours allows for activation of this hormone, and safely training yourself to be okay with moderate feeling of hunger brings long-term health benefits. For more information, check out alessamorgan.com.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so let's take a pause for the cause for just one brief moment. So that right there was the Wellness Minute. You just took a listen to it in the other two segments as well. But I want to give a quick thank you to Alessa Morgan and alessamorgan.com in regards, because they've been here with us since the very beginning of the Rated R Safety Show in this iteration on how we've been doing this. And they have been doing the Wellness Minute over and over and over again. And believe me, they significantly help out on the radio big side of the house. You don't see some of the stuff that happens behind the scenes, but that is going to be the last Wellness Minute that she'll be doing maybe for some time. We're going to bring in somebody else for the interim time just to see how that's going to go going forward. But we definitely want to thank her for everything that she's contributed to the show. Seriously, because, I mean, it's been countless of hours when you kind of added them all together in regards of what she's helped out and doing in regards to that. So I definitely wanted to point that out and say thank you for everything that you've done. So for all your wellness needs, to find out more information, go to alessamorgan.com. That's ALESSA Morgan, just like Dexter, Morgan, you got it. Anyway, so that's what's going on right there. Anyways, let's talk about some things that happened back on this date, if you don't mind me talking about these. So if I take a look back in 2003, Barry Bonds steals the second base against the LA Dodgers. The move made him the first player in MLB history to have over 500 career home runs and 500 steals. That happened back in 2003. We're looking at some birthdays for today. Let's talk about them. Tim Anderson turns 30. Ellie Burtman turns 34. Billy Kay turns 34. Anna Duggar turns 35. Duffy the singer turns 39. Melissa Rauch turns 43. Jason Mraz 46. Selma Blair 51. Roberts Brooks 53. Let's see. Francis McDermott 66. I'm going to leave one to the end, by the way. Randy Jackson turns 67. Clarence Thomas turns 75. And one of my favorite artists of all times, musical artists, Glenn Danzig. He turned 68 today. just in case you're looking at some of those birthdays that are going on. If you're looking at some a reason to celebrate today, I have some of those. National Plumberage Day, National Take Your Dog to Work Day, National Let It Go Day, International Women of Engineering Day, International Widows Day, National Typewriter Day, and Public Service Day. So there you go. There's some for you. If you need a random joke for today, try this. The question, fries or salad, sums up every adult decision you have to make. If you need something for a phone star, try this. If you were in charge of renaming things so that their names would be more accurate, what names would you come up with? If you need something for the water cooler, try this. A little more than half of men will post a selfie this summer of them doing this. What is it? Barbecuing. So there you go. Anyways, thank you for being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big, and that is the listener. Without you, we couldn't do what we do around here. If I can leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this. There's nothing like deep breaths after laughing hard, and nothing in the world like sore stomach for the right reason. So there you go. I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.